Alright, here's my fourth shelf of the big bookshelf. Starting on the left, we got World Mythology, an illustrated guide by Roy Willis. It's the general edition, so whatever that means. Then we got the Great Fairy Tale Tradition, which is also a Norton Critical Edition. And both of these are about mythology and fairy tales, obviously. But they're really interesting and really good to read mythology and fairy tales in their original form. Then we got Youth in Revolt by C.D. Payne. That was actually made into a movie. And I'm really looking forward to reading that, which I have yet to get to. Then we got Baseball Between the Numbers. Why Everything You Know About the Game is Wrong. And it was put out by Baseball Prospectus, and it's actually I haven't read all of it, but a lot of the stuff I've read, it's really interesting, and it gives you a lot of cool details and stuff you would never think about baseball and the numbers behind the game. And then you got Marjane Satrapi's graphic novel Persepolis. After that, you got April Sinclair's novel, Coffee Will Make You Black. I'm really looking forward to reading that one. Then we got American Born Chinese by Jean Luen Yang. That's also a graphic novel. And then we got the first Scott Pilgrim book, or graphic novel by Brian Lee O'Malley. Then you got Mark Haddon's The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and I've reviewed both of these books for Under the Covers if you want to go back and check that out. Then you got Annie on My Mind by Nancy Garden right here. Then we got F. Scott Fitzgerald's novel The Great Gatsby, which is about to be released as a movie, or maybe it already was released, I'm not sure. But I saw the trailer and I'm not too impressed. Then we got the first two books in the series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket's. The first one being The Bad Beginning, the second one being The Reptile Room. Then we got Joey Gantos. Jack Gantos with his novel Joey Pigs Has Swallowed the Key. Then we got Christopher Paul Curtis's novel, The Watsons Go to Birmingham, which is right here. Then we got The Smell of Old Lady Perfume by Claudia Guadalupe Martinez, and I actually met her. She came to my school and talked about this novel, and she's really nice and really, she answered a lot of questions, and she was actually really nice, which I just said. Anyways, this next book is Tree Girl by Ben Mickelson, and I recommend reading this. It's a really good novel that takes place in Central America. Then we got the classic novel Holes by Louis Sakar. I'm going to say Sakar. If you love Shia LaBeouf, you should read that book. Actually, the novel has nothing to do with him, but he was in the movie, so yeah. Anyways, the next one is The Seeing Stone, Arthur Trilogy, Book 1, by Kevin Crossley Holland. Then we got Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind, and it's actually, if you've seen the TV show Legend of the Seeker, it's actually based off this novel. I've never seen it or read this book yet, so I'm looking forward to doing both. Then we got Parrot in the Oven by Victor Martinez, and it's almost a collection of short stories that flow into one novel. That's the way I describe it to people anyways. Then we got Robert Cormier's novel The Chocolate War. It's a classic novel that I've yet to read. Next to that one, we got A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, another classic novel I've yet to read. Actually, this whole row of books here are classic novels I've yet to read. Next one being Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. Next to that, we got Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And then we got One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. Is it Kesey or Kesey? I'm not sure. I'm bad with name pronunciations. Then we got I Am Number 4 by Pittacus Lore. And then we got Colston Whitehead's novel Zone 1. Then we got Devil in the White City. Murder, Magic, and Madness at the Fair That Changed America by Eric Larson. My friend actually gave me this book for free. And I'm really looking forward to reading it because a lot of people have recommended it. Then we got Fantasy Freaks and Gaming Geeks, and if you're into gaming, or if you're into fantasy adventure novels or video games or anything of the sort, I really recommend reading this because it's really informative. It's a really fun read, and it's just really interesting in general. Then we got the first two novels in the Leviathan series by, is it Scott Westerfeld? Yes, by Scott Westerfeld. It's a steampunk series. And then next, on the bottom row of my bookshelf, we got, starting off on the left here, we got the Norton Shakespeare, and this volume 1 there in the brown, and then the green is the volume 2. And then we got Scooter by professional wrestler Mick Foley. It's his first, I believe it's his first attempt at a novel there. And I've yet to read it, but I'm actually really looking forward to reading it. I believe it's about baseball, and I love baseball. Oh, I forgot, excuse me. Then we got the American Short Story, which is a huge collection of short stories. Look at how thick this book is. I actually believe it's over 1,000 pages. And it's funny, I bought it for $0.25 at the Goodwill, and after I bought it, I brought it home and looked at all the short stories, and I've actually read like 15 of them, so that's pretty cool. It shows that I'm kind of a good reader, I guess. Okay, on to the next set here. This is the Norton Anthologies, volume A, B, C, D, and E. It's the Middle Age period, the 16th century, early 17th century. Then we got the Restoration period in the 18th century. Then the Romantic period, and then the Victorian age, and then it's pretty much a continuation of Boredom, A through E. I'm actually not a big fan of early literature, but I had to read them for school, you know. You know how that is, so I had to get them, and I kind of don't want to part with them for some reason. Anyways, this is probably my favorite anthology of books, right, or stories here. It's the Heath Anthology of American Literature, Volume D, and this has some great short stories and great poetry. It's got, like E. E. Cummings, W.E.B. Du Bois. It's got some, I believe it has some Dorothy Parker in there. It's got, just a lot of great literature and short stories and stuff like that. And then we got Agatha Christie, and Then There Were None. I actually just bought this book recently. And then we got Pandora's Star by Peter F. Hamilton, and I'm actually not a big fan of that book. Anyways, next we got Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead, another classic novel I've yet to read. Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, and Through the Looking Glass. That's the Barnes & Noble class. Is it the No, it's the Simon and Schuster's Enriched Classic Edition, whatever you want to call it. Then we got Monster by Walter Dean Myers, and I have two books called Monster with the title of Monster, and they're both completely different novels. Then we got Dan Abnett's novel Embedded. I actually got that for free from a friend. We got the Barnes & Noble Classic Edition of Treasure Island. Then we got Baseball Behind the Scenes, the shortstop position. Then we got Hardcore Logo by Michael Turner, which was made into a movie, which is very good. And if anyone's familiar with the punk rock band Billy Talent, they actually took their name from a character in that book, Hardcore Logo. Then we got Clemente by David Moranis, and that's a biography of the baseball player Roberto Clemente, who is a personal hero of mine, and I bought that book, and I'm really, really looking forward to reading it, and it should have been the first book on my summer reading list, but it wasn't. And then we got Last Night I Sang to the Monster by Benjamin Saenz. I had to read that for a class this past semester, and it was probably my least favorite novel of the class, but it was still a pretty solid read. Then we got Sports Illustrated, great baseball writing, and it's a collection of baseball articles throughout Sports Illustrated's history. And then at the end here, we got Lev Grossman's two novels, The Magicians and The Magician King, and I've actually reviewed The Magician King if you want to go back and check that out. Alright, let's go to my last bookshelf, which is a 3-row bookshelf, which is kind of a mess, but we're going to check it out anyways.